pull up, know what's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down.
Hey guys, and we are back with another episode of A Shocking Good Time. Again, my name is Hector Pino, and I have a special guest, my good buddy Josh Stangby. He's here to be with us on this podcast. Josh is an ex-NFL football player. He's going to talk a little bit about his beginnings at life and his profession also and what he does. So Josh, it's very great to have you, man. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, man. Yeah, so I mean, I guess to get into it, I'm Josh Stangby. I work out in Central California. The company is Stangby Designs. But really, before all that happened, I grew up in Los Angeles. And, as a kid, all we did was play sports. So, football was just like a natural love for me.
Yeah.
And then in high school, I was really small, really undersized. But I didn't have that work ethic piece yet.
Yeah.
So naturally in high school, I didn't get recruited, didn't go anywhere big, and ended up going to a junior college. And that's where I said, okay, I actually got to work hard to be good. And that kind of taught me how to be more disciplined as a person.
Right.
And then I said, I got a future at this. I can actually be a professional football player. And, I worked pretty hard to get, to university. After that, I had a couple years playing in the NFL,
Wow.
a couple years playing in Canada. It was a blessing.
It almost sounds like a Josh Allen story, man. You went to a JC, like to Reedley College, and then got picked up by Wyoming, and then that was cravy. Right?
I think it's a testament to like the times that we're in. I mean, you can get found anywhere. I think if you work hard, obviously like having good faith, working hard, doing the right things,
right.
And having a clear vision and executing on that vision. I mean, it's kind of hard to stop somebody that acts in that manner, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, it's always good to have an underdog story, though.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Yeah.
So a little bit about getting into the NFL, man. The feeling and talk a little bit about that experience, man. I mean, unreal feeling, right?
It's the coolest thing ever, dude. There's a lot of highs and lows in that story. Going into my senior year in the combine, my dad passed like while we were in combine training. So it kind of starts at a sad note, but I mean, that was my parents sacrificed a ton of stuff just to get me there.
Wow.
So, I just kept on with the training, and then the Falcons and a couple of teams came to watch me at my pro day, and I ran 4.39, and then I was like, I'm not working out anymore. If you guys want to draft me, cool. And I signed with the Falcons that off season. 2 days later, I was back home. I got cut. So it's just like the highs and lows of being a pro athlete. Like I signed that contract, and I swear I thought like I saw my mom's house getting bought right here. I thought we had it made, and then 2 days later, I'm back home. But it just kind of goes back to that same like I didn't really allow that to knock me back. I just knew I had to keep working out, had to keep focused on my goal, and then 10 days before Christmas, I signed with the Colts.
Wow.
So and that was just it's incredible. It's worth all the sacrifice and work ethic.
Les Brown says life's setbacks are setups for the greatest comebacks, man.
Yeah.
That's good.
What you always used to say, and you still say it to me sometimes. You say, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you.
That's right. That's right.
So.
Whew.
Yeah. Amen, right?
Amen to that.
Yeah.
I've gone through a lot of hardships in life, man, and sometimes I gotta step back and just really realize that these are moments that help me to develop and help me to grow.
Yeah.
And no matter how hard it is, and no matter how emotional you get about it, you have to just really just soak it in, man, and just say, okay, what's going on? What is God trying to do?
Amen.
For me,
Absolutely. I mean, you've got some powerful testimonies about this alone, but it's really not being rocked by the storm when you're in the ship. You're just like, okay, this happens, whatever that is, whether it's good or bad, and you kind of have to stay like focused on what your goal is or what your outcome is.
That's right.
Because if, let's say on the flip side of it, you're super successful and you're riding on that high, you tend to forget about the things that kept you humble, that got you there.
Right.
So I think God, that's why obviously keeping him centered in our life, he keeps us where we need to be.
Yeah.
You know, and not, you know, when things are too low, he's there to pick us up.
Right.
You know, when we're too high, like we gotta sometimes, you know, be humble a little bit. So it's good to have, you know, that thermostat.
That's true, man. You know, getting to the top, you know, it takes hard work and discipline, sacrifice, and people can get there. Like it's like working out, or hey, I want to look like this, or I want to, you know, whatever it is, and people get there, losing weight or whatever the case may be. But getting to the top is typically not the issue. It's maintaining being at the top is where the struggle's at, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's a lot that goes on there, man.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of things that, man, stars are not made, you know, in championship rings. You know, they're made in the gym. You know,
there's a book. I think, I don't want to get the author wrong. It might be Brian Tracy or Jim Collins, but it's called Talent's Overrated, and basically talks about, like, it uses Tiger Woods and a couple other examples where you see the superstar, but you don't see all the years of work. So going back to your point about, you know, getting there is not the problem. It's maintaining it. It's just, it takes like that work ethic, and obviously you need the talent component. Yeah. But you do need that discipline, work ethic, you know, being structured and organized and having clear goals, definite goals. That's what I think keeps you competitive and keeps you growing. Right. Even when you reach that success.
Yeah. And then taking that same analogy and taking it to the workforce or to the customer or to our business field, right? So, you know, there's been a lot of times where, and I'm just going to use just fake numbers, but there's been a lot of times where, you know, our service technicians or even myself would go out and perform a service for a customer and get it done in 10 minutes, right? And the bill may be, you know, $400 or whatever the case may be, for us showing up and performing the work, and they're like, $400 for, you know, 2 minutes of work. And well, it's you've paid for all the experience that it's taken, you know, on all the 30 years that I've been in the industry, or you've paid for, you know, I got it done in 2 minutes, but could somebody else have come in and did it in 2 minutes, you know?
And also it's the risk of not having somebody in expertise.
Right.
I mean, in our industry, especially in the trades and being in construction, like, you know, as a GC, you know good trades from people who don't really know what they're doing.
Right.
And the cost of not knowing what you're doing is always far more tenfold than taking, you know, even if it's fast and doing it right. Right. That experience really saves you exponential money and time.
I got a video, and I'll make sure that we display it on this podcast. But where one of the guys went out and this plug doesn't work, and so they went to look at the plug, jiggled it a little bit, and stood back, and the plug caught on fire. It was crazy, right? And I'm like, well, maybe that's why you're paying for, you know, $400 service from us, to make sure that stuff like that doesn't happen.
Just to make sure your $400,000 house doesn't get burned down from an electrical fire. You know, and that's an interesting thing too, just about life, is like, to circle back around to the work ethic piece. Like, to me, there's no separation from playing sports, from faith or family. Like, it's a integrity and character thing. Right. So, like, who you are as a dad, who you are as, you know, a son, who you are as a husband. Like, I know you go hard in all those things. You don't say, you know, I'm going to take the day off here. Right. And you take that into work. You take it into, you know, people who you mentor. Right. And the same thing, like with sports, you know, I knew I wasn't going to be Megatron, like Calvin Johnson. I knew I wasn't going to be, you know, Randy Moss. I knew I had to literally outwork everybody, and I had to do that consistently. Yeah. And it takes a lot of sacrifice. Yeah. You know. Yeah. So. Yeah.
And you don't have to be the biggest guy, man. No. You know, I've always watched what's the guy's name? Hunter Renfrow, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He's not a big dude, you know, but he's unorthodox. It seems like, man. Like, he gets where he just makes it happen, man. You know.
I mean, he's one of those guys that he's gifted, but he works on his craft.
Yeah.
And that's just, it takes the time. We talk about expertise. You know, there's no way around, you know, that mastery level of work in your craftsmanship, whatever
Right.
you do. So, like right now, I'm trying to work into that mastery. I'm not there yet, but there's no way around that 10,000 hours of deliberate practice at whatever that is.
Yeah.
To where you reach that level where you can look at a problem and solve it in 2 minutes.
Right.
But there's no shortcut to that.
Right.
And I think the thing that happens in nowadays, because of the power of social media and marketing, somebody can make it appear like they're more of an expert than what they are, right? You know, so like now I think a lot of guys try to take the shortcut to success and say like, I want these big jobs. I want to do these, you know, ultra custom modern backyards, but like you can't even install base synthetic, or you can't, you know, they're
Right.
trying to jump the line.
Yeah.
So for me, it's super important that like I got to take it step by step, you know, one project at a time, getting better, looking at our errors, fixing them before we make these big leaps.
Yeah. Right.
You know, because you can't fake success and mastery.
That you
know?
can't, man. Repetitious is the key, man. Doing things repetitiously, being disciplined, sacrificing, like all those things are very, very important to the process of success, man.
Yeah.
Very much so. But in all that, man, let's talk a little bit about what you do, man, the services that you offer, you know, where you started your business, I guess, and where it's at today.
Yeah. So, you know, at Stangby Designs, we're a residential landscape design firm. And people are always like, well, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, basically, if you have a backyard, you know, if you have dirt in there, or you have an unusable space, if it's just grass, we take that and then we look at you as a family, as a person, and say, how do you guys intend to use this space?
Right.
We then create this cool, realistic 3D rendering, and we create a plan that serves as your roadmap to bring that dream into reality.
Right.
And then we also have the crew and the team to build those jobs. So it's really about, you know, taking a personalized approach to a backyard and looking at it like for whatever person's project is, they're going to pay a certain amount. Mm-hmm. We just try to maximize what the layout is. We try to maximize their experience, and we do so through design.
Yeah,
so
right.
we plan it first, and then we achieve it.
So when you first started your business and things, did you start it here in Fresno, or was it down south, or?
So I was Los Angeles based. I was fortunate that my brother, he's a pretty good builder too. He does duplexes and fourplexes in Los Angeles. So I kind of got a good entry level into working in custom landscape design. So whenever there'd be a new project on a you know, a new remodel or a new home, I would do the landscape. And then I kind of built a good book of business by just the quality of work. They said, okay, who did the drawings? This came out good. And then I went from one project, and then somebody else would call me, and I did a great job with them. Somebody else called me, and just repeated that.
Right.
But the key thing for me was I always needed my boots on the ground for every survey. I always needed to meet the person, get to know the project, and I've done that for every single one. There hasn't been one project that I haven't surveyed, met the person, drawn the schematics, design. Like I do every single one because I want to know exactly what it takes to bring your, you know, dream to reality.
Right.
You know,
right.
So
you moved from LA to Fresno.
Yeah.
What brought you here?
my wife, you know, the Lord get, you know, the Bible says when you get a wife, you get a good thing.
Yeah,
you know, and
either
truly
finds
it's
a wife,
you know,
finds a good
my
thing,
wife
too.
is just incredible, and it's the biggest blessing in my life. She's my best friend, but you know, I met her in college. She brought me out here one day, and I said, I'm never going back to LA. So what I would do is I would drive down to LA. I would do my project inspections, drive back to pick up my daughter from school or whatever.
Oh, wow.
So I ran most of my business in LA and then transitioned it up here. And now we don't do any more projects in LA because we choose to, we want to service this area.
Yeah. So how has that been for you? You've been able to make some good relationships. Where does most of your leads or your customers come from, or are you locked in with certain maybe developers, or what's your client base look like? How do you
my client base right now is mostly like doctors, engineers, and architects actually, and most of the people are transitioning from the Bay Area out here, mostly in a single family home, new construction home is what we do. And typically that, somebody's making between 150 to 300,000 a year is our I guess if you were to put a number on that.
Yeah.
Young family, right? So a lot of our people are 35 to 40 making, that amount, and then they're coming in from another area.
Okay.
And that's probably 60% of our clientele.
I see. And so in terms of putting the construction piece together, like you design and then you have a team under you that will come in and put the project together as far as boots on the ground, like laying the sod or the sprinklers and all the how does that
that's a great question, because especially in California in general, like contracting is a very thing that needs to be sacred, right? So what we do is we do the design and the planning and project management only. We do no construction. We have no ownership of the construction job. So we have a network of landscape contractors, pool builders, and general contractors that we will go to. For example, if we need an ADU, we're going to say, hey, you got to call Hector. Because we're not going to, just hire Joe Schmo to put
reputable people.
Yeah, we want some. We want not just reputable. We want the best.
Yeah,
so that's a key thing. Is like for me, make it to NFL. Like I didn't want to play in Germany. I didn't want to go play, and I wanted to meet, be the best. And the same here. I want to work with the best builders. I want to work with the best architects and learn, right? Because iron sharpens iron.
Right.
So when we bring these people on, these are guys that, like, honestly, I have no friends. Most of the contractors I work with are my best friends because we know each other really well. So when we refer somebody, like, I know how they operate. I know when they wake up. I know their crews by their first name.
Wow, that's good.
So like, I know these guys.
Yeah.
And I know how they construct. I know how they deal with contingencies or problems on a job site. I know how they communicate or don't communicate.
Yeah.
So when we design a project, like, I already know what's going to happen, and I know how we can handle pitfalls, and I know how we can, transition those into successes. So referral is key, but obviously we can't contract. We have no license to.
Yeah.
And I would never even want to be in that field anyway. So
it gets crazy. I've been in some pretty unfortunate situations just being part of the deal, right? And I had a situation here just recently, and I was doing a shopping center, and so the guy that was doing the underground work, he couldn't do the pole bases. And there are concrete pole bases. And so he asked me, he says, Hector, I know you guys can do them. Can you do them? I said, I don't have time to do them. We're really busy. I go, but I'll find somebody for you. And he's like, all right. And so I did find somebody, hired that guy. And it was kind of a rush. Let's get it done, because, the project needed to hurry and finish. And so when I hired him, the guy gave me a bid. And me not thinking, I should have just gave that opportunity right over to the guy who asked me to do the work, right?
Yeah.
But when I asked the concrete guy to give if he can do it, he said yes. He sent me over the bid. I looked at it. I asked the guy. I said, hey, is this number okay? Is it fit in the budget? Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
I said, okay. So I
I
should have just sent it over to him, but it ran through me, right?
Yeah.
I didn't make no money on it. I was just the conduit to making it happen, right? And so anyhow, shopping center got done. Chipotle was being built, and it was finished. Chipotle was opening up the next day, and the sewer backed up. And so they started trying to figure out what was going on, and they shot the camera down. They pumped it out. Well, where the pole base was at. They knew that there was some issue, or there was some plumbing that was down there, but everybody was being very careful about it not being hit. Well, I guess when they drilled, they poked the top of it, didn't realize it because nothing came up when they pulled the auger out.
Yeah,
everyone's looking down.
Yeah,
oh, nothing hit, but I guess the fluff fell back on top of it and didn't see nothing, right?
Yeah,
and so when they poured that base, it filled with concrete, right?
Yeah.
So, at the end of it, it was a pretty substantial repair, and but because I was in the middle of it, I had to take some ownership in it. And it was a lot of money, man.
Yeah, man. I mean,
but I mean, at the end of the day, could I have kind of like contested it some? Maybe, but the right thing to do is just to pony up and contribute to getting the repair done.
Yeah.
And that we did do, and that's just the cost of doing business.
Well, I think that's the cost of excellence.
Mm-hmm.
There's a saying by Nick Saban. He says, high achievers don't like mediocre people, and mediocre people don't like high achievers.
Man, that's 100%
because
true,
a mediocre person would have found a way to get out of that situation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A high achiever says, like, I didn't achieve something of excellence, I got to go fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the two never get along,
right?
But that's a great quality, right? Is see a mistake, take the ownership and fix it, because that only will serve you well.
Yeah.
God blesses that, and then it's just it's a slippery slope. Once you take that route, you no longer heading towards that goal of trying to be the best,
right?
So I think that's the stories nobody hears about,
right?
But that's what builds you to be when you're the best, electrical contractor in the state, when you're the best general contractor in the state. It takes all these little things to get you guys there, right? One day, we're going to be the best residential landscape design firm in California. We drew up a project, the measurement was off 6 inches, we got to drive to LA 4 hours to resurvey the space to fix it and get it right.
Yeah.
And it costs, but I think we gained more from the experience of cut 3 times or measure 3 times and cut once, You know what I'm saying? So
precision, man.
Yeah.
And those little things matter.
Yeah.
Those little things. It's like you measure a straight line, from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. But if you're an 1/8 inch off here, 100 feet down the road, it's pretty significant.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's kind of, we're getting into some goal setting stuff too, right? It's like setting your aim. Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's like I'm a big fan of his. He talks about you got to know where you're going when you set your sail. Yeah. And we talk about precision. When you're trying to get to a destination, when you're trying to do a project, have an end goal, like you need a clear vision of what that looks like in your mind,
right?
And you need to go directly as straight as you can towards that, because even if you're off a little bit in your vision, it could take you think you're going here, but you end up all the way, far away from your goal, and you think why? Maybe you didn't set good enough goals. Maybe, you're not working with the right people. But
you're always having to recalibrate, man. Yeah. It's Bob Proctor talked a little bit about it, flying airplanes. When you're flying airplanes, you're kind of just up there, right?
Yeah.
But you always have to dial it in, man. The plane's never flying. I mean, unless you're an autopilot, of course, you know what I mean? But, it's never flying straight. You're always having to, just recalculate. Yeah. And such is our lives, man. And such as situations like this in our businesses, man. There's always, we have to be ready to pivot at any time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that, like, for us, for example, we've been boots on the ground for every job site. And like, for us, our slight alteration is to go, we want to be online based first, right? So like, if we're servicing some of my retired buddies who are ex-NFL players, or NFL players or NBA guys or whoever we're doing a landscape for. I mean, now instead of traveling out to them, hey, we're going to meet online, we're going to do all this stuff, and we're going to make that pivot to, connect with the people who are going to be our clients for the future.
Right.
And that's where we're kind of setting our sights on now, is like we want to work with, some of these top tier projects, but we got to be able to alter our systems and processes on how we reach people.
That's good. What does it look like? Have you been entertaining the online thing, or is that something that you're still putting together? Or
no, I've got the framework pretty much set in play. It's pretty cool. We're about maybe 3 months into implementation. Okay. We're not going to be solely online, but it's just when we do our discovery phase, right? When you figure out what a problem is on site. Mm-hmm. Right now, if you're new construction, we can get 90% of the information that we need to even take a full design to implementation.
So it's like Google Earth?
Google Earth, but also if it's like a super modern home, they had a soil engineer, they had a architect and engineer. So we have all the elevations, all the measurements, everything is like accurate to a T, because those guys pay a lot of money to work on those sites. So it's the online portion is really onboarding the client and getting to know them, when they're playing, in a bye week or they're in Dallas or whatever. Mm-hmm. I can meet with them as opposed to traveling all the way out to them. That's the blessing of being in this time, people are okay with the online meeting. So we got to integrate that first and then meet later.
Yeah, no, that's good,
Yeah.
man. That's good. Where are you guys at right now as far as your business? What's your book? What's your like week look like? Are you designing every day, or do you have several projects in the pipeline that you're going out and looking at construction and how things are going? Is that
So no, there's because everything's custom. It is half in the office, half in the field.
I see.
Now that it can fly based on where we're at in a construction. We may have to change order based on the pool company ran the plumbing here, and we need to put a footing for this structure here. We got to change something, or you got to move that line. But day to day during the summertime, I might be at a job site, and then I'll come home after work and I'll have to do the design work if we don't finish it in office. So that's the beauty of not being on the clock. But you just gotta make those sacrifices. Like I have a goal of where I want to be, and right now we're not charging our clients an arm and a leg. We're very, very affordable on purpose. Yeah. I take a lot of hits from that, but to me, it's like I'm trying to figure out exactly what it takes to be the best. Yeah. And in order to charge like the best, you gotta know where the pitfalls are in the project. You got to know, when you design something, how do the guys like things to be drawn out? Yeah. How do they like to see elevations? It's different for a contractor to contractor.
Well, one thing, and I'm glad we're talking about this topic right now, but like for me, where I started to see my life change and things like become different for me, and my business start to kind of, grow and scale differently was when me personally, I quit trying to like figure it out myself. I had to bring in like mentors, people that help me think different, people that help me understand the business different. Have a lot of not a lot. I have a handful of good people who are my resources that help me just. Just mindset, just mindset, like speaking things, even though I don't have them, as if I already do have them. You know what I mean? Like your mind, your brain doesn't know any different, right? Your brain doesn't know if you do or don't have, the things that you want in life. But if you start, it's like a compulsive liar, right? They believe their lies. They have themselves convinced that they have something that they don't have. You know what I mean? You just got to use it in reverse, man. Yeah. And that's what's helped me a lot, man. It's just, Bob Proctor would say, if you think it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. You have to speak things manifest those things, man. And you have to feel it in your body, like feel that you have it, smell it, taste it, touch it. Put yourself in rooms with people that you never thought you would be in, what I mean? And operate and talk and be and dress like the people that you want to be like. Not that you're trying to be somebody that you're not, but you're trying to become somebody that you never thought you would ever become. Nobody wants to be broke, poor, and not effective to their family. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My pastor always says, he's like, you don't want to be broke, busted, and disgusting. Yeah. But really though, and I think there's a key component of it, because for example, when I was 18 and I'm, at junior college, like I knew I wanted to be an NFL player. I wasn't there yet, but like I really knew I knew I was going to be able to make it. It took a matter of time and steps to execute those things. So I would tell myself that. I have journals still of like when I was a sophomore or a junior in college writing, I'm going to sign this contract for this amount of money. Ooh. And I signed it for sure, but it's really setting that course and being really clear, I think, and definite with that purpose. Yeah. That's where kind of Think and Grow Rich, I learned a lot from that, is like having that definiteness of purpose, and that repetition of that in your mind is such a key thing to success. Yeah,
man. There's a lot of great books out there, man. I've read a lot of Jim Rohn, and Jim Rohn. One thing that I'll take to the bank every time, man, is Jim Rohn. He says, don't wish that your life was easier. just wish you were better.
Yeah.
You know, like, man, think about that, right? Everyone, man, I wish it was easier. I wish this. And well, why don't you just man up and be better? You know?
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Put in the work.
Yeah.
You know, be disciplined. You know, do things right. Be good to people, man. You know, and I think that's what a lot of it is, man. If you can just, those are just easy principles. People overstep the obvious, man, or look past the things that, if you just go back to the basics, like, your life would be a lot easier.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. So moving forward, man, as far as your business, just visualizing, man, where do you want to be in 5 more years, man? Where do you look? What is well, how old are you now?
I'm 35.
30. You're a young man.
So when I'm 40, we're going to have our own studio, and I think it's going to be in Clovis. And I envision it being, where we bring our clientele into us, and it's kind of like that Apple atmosphere. But we're going to be at a point where we're servicing somebody who wants that like mansionette, like ultra modern clientele, and we're only working with that person in the Central Valley. I want to stay based out here regardless. And then we're going to have our executive clients that we fly out to worldwide at that point. So not many, but a few, of our elite level clients, probably if it's, the top rated receiver in the NFL, whoever it is, like they're going to fly us out because they know we got them covered. Yeah. So I think that's what 5 years looks like from now, and having the team in place. Obviously, you have to have the marketing and the systems in place in order to implement something like that. Yeah. And a big deal of it is having the project management portion of it dialed in. Right. So, 5 years, studio, servicing, some of the best athletes in the world.
Man, that sounds like an amazing plan, man. Yeah. That's good stuff, man. Mm-hmm. Outside of all this, man, is there anything else you want to touch on? You want to maybe give to the viewers about you, maybe your family, or any other services that you offer? Or
I mean, really, it's, I think, a key thing in pursuit of your dreams or your goals is like not losing touch with who God's called you to be. Yeah. And I've learned that through some hard lessons. The biggest portion of that is like holding on to the blessings God has given you. Like as a family man, I got a wonderful wife and kids. I mean, that motivates me more than anything else, you know, in this world. Yeah. When a client says, "Hey, I got an issue that needs to get fixed," I have no problem fixing it because I see my 2 girls and my wife, and I know they're looking at me and they see me, and it's my duty to succeed. Yeah. Like I have to make this work. Yeah. And a lot of that has to do with just staying connected with God and keeping, Him first in your life, but also just honoring the blessings that He's given you. Yeah. Because like right now, I'm not trying to look into that future of the studio. I want to enjoy going home after work, picking my kids up, taking my daughter to soccer practice. Yeah. Like just enjoying those blessings, the stuff that I know, are gonna just make the best parts of life.
There's a roadmap for all of that, man, and I missed out in a lot of that because I just did it incorrectly, you know. But to really facilitate that part of your life, man, there's definitely some changes that need to make that you need to make just on how you structure your business and other people that you put in place just to replicate who you are. You know what I mean? And, finding the people, everyone's like, oh, it's hard to do. I can't find. And I say it, and I shouldn't, but it's a mindset thing, man. You know what I mean? And so, but when you get there, you'll be able to free up your time so that you can, operate at that capacity,
Yeah, and I think it's a discipline thing too. I don't mean to stretch the time too much, but I think it really is like an intentionality thing because I still want to work a ton. And not for the sake of making money, but like it's really fun doing what I do. It's like you literally like talk about manifestation. Like we see something, the client speaks about something in their brain. I have to go in there and extract that. No, really, it's like it's unreal. I have to extract that, and I'm going through, and sometimes I'm modeling stuff out, and I'll delete a project 4 or 5 times. I'll spend 10 hours, delete it. 5 hours, delete it. Because it's just not, I don't know what it is, but there's that component that's subjective.
Yeah.
It's not an abstract thing, but I got to pull it and I got to bring it into reality.
Yeah.
So I want to see myself working for a long time, but I have to be disciplined enough in my schedule to make time for the stuff that matters, the family stuff,
Yeah.
but still grow the business.
Yeah. That whole piece, man. I wish I would have had somebody to mentor me better, or just to mentor me at all when I was younger, man. Because all I did was just work, man.
Yeah.
And it was sacrifice. Could have did it a lot differently, but I think it's just the part of just not having the right people in my life to help me get through that time, man. And so now I'm trying to do it differently for sure. I'm trying to set it up for my boys. My boys are in their early 20s, mid 20s and stuff, and because I don't want them to go through the same things.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want them to go through the same things that I went through, and I don't feel like they will. I just got to make sure that, you know, I'm dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's, and making sure that, you know, I just want them to be better than I was. You know, for sure. And I know we talked about it earlier, but and I want to touch on it because it's always a fun story to talk about. But you helped us do some design at our place, man, and you designed it for us, and we started poking at it a little bit. And we live on a 5-acre parcel, so to develop that it's a lot of money, man. So,
Yeah, dude. I know.
But you did go and you put a plan together for us, and talk a little bit about the first time that you came and met us.
Yeah, dude. So I'll take it through the long story or the short story. Which one? I'll take it through the long story. So the funny thing is, I went to your house before I ever met you guys.
That's right.
So we have a family friend. He's like a brother. His name's Miguel. He had a birthday party at your house, so we went there. And then circle back. We got booked for a consultation. I show up and I talked to B. And I told her, I said, "Hey, I've been here before." And she looked at me like, yeah, I was here for a birthday party. So she walks me back. We start talking about the project. We get a good idea. And there comes this hulking figure walking towards us. It was you. Then we start chopping it up. And it was like 5 in the afternoon. So I'm about ready to go home. We're about to call it a day. And then you hear like, this super loud sound, and it's somebody flying over a plane. I could have swore like the dude was aiming at me.
Crop duster.
Yeah, man. I was like, are we about to World War III? Yeah. So, but no, it was so crazy, and it was your son flying the plane. Yeah. And then you guys like taking a video and all that stuff. I'm like, this is the craziest thing I've ever. It was so funny, dude.
Well, Stefan. Well, what had happened was we had an emergency call. And so Stefan's mentor, Derek, we were just in a jam, and Stefan had just pulled in from Santa Maria, and they're like, "Hey, you got to go back to Santa Maria." Like, dude, they just drove in right now, man. What do you mean? And, well, the store's going to open and all this other stuff. And I'm like, golly, man. So I called Derek, and I'm like, "Hey, Derek, can you take Stefan? He just drove in from Santa Maria. Can you take him back in the plane right now?" He's like, "Yeah, bro, I got you. Just have him go to the airport. Load up all his tools or whatever, man." And so he shows up to the FBO. They load up, and the work took them 20 minutes to do what needed to be done. It was the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah.
So they fly to Santa Maria, get it knocked out. I think they had more fun just hanging out and doing stupid stuff or whatever, because they came early. And so when they were flying back, that's when Stefan called me. He's like, "Hey, Dad, where are you at?" And I was like, "Hey, we're in the back here with the landscape design guy." He's like, "We're coming in right now. Start watching."
I'm like, I almost want to start take off running. I'm like, all right.
They did a low pass over right over the backyard, man. It was pretty funny.
Definitely, I almost got a haircut from that play. You know what I'm saying? That's how. Hey, he's got some skills. I'll say that he's got some skills in that plane. Yeah. That's how we met, man.
That's how we met, man. Yeah. It was always a good story to talk about, man. But Josh, it was a pleasure having you, man.
Thank you.
We love and appreciate you, man. You're more like family to us, and we're here to help at any capacity, man. I always feel like the people in my life, when I watch them succeed, I feel like I'm a part of it, man. Just because I've seen you where you started, when we met and where you're at today and your hustle, man, is unmatched, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
It means
good
a
man.
lot.
Yeah.
It means a lot from a big bro like you, man. I mean, and also talk about mentors. It just means a lot. The last thing to end up with is just, having somebody in your life who will call you out because they see the best in you.
Yeah.
And they expect the best from you. And I think you always look at me, not just who I am, but you try to see me for, I know you can be, you can be so much more. So like that.
That's why I text you off the random and just like, hey man, you good or whatever, and
dude.
Just check in on you.
And it pushes me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I thank you for that.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
If we can help you in any way, man, you let me know.
Absolutely.
We love you, man.
Love you too, bro.
Hey guys, it was a good podcast. You guys follow Josh. We'll leave all of his information in the content, man, and see you on the next one.